outrageous, it's a big slap in the face to women that the Federation, after all of this time and all these letters, even legal letters, have not stepped up and protected women in sports.
Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy JD. I hope you've all had a great day. I hope you've all had a great start to your weekend. In this episode, once again, we're going to be talking about the recent controversy surrounding women's powerlifting in Canada, as April Hutchinson, a female powerlifter herself, has spoken out against all the madness in an interview with Fox News. Now, for those of you that haven't heard about this story, I'll briefly explain it, but all I'm going to say now is very telling of the world we're living in, and you should probably buckle up for this one. As always, trans powerlifter Anne Andres won first place in the Canadian Powerlifting Union's 2023 Western Canadian Championship on Sunday. There, Andres set both a Canadian women's national record and an unofficial women's world powerlifting record. Well, isn't that just fantastic? This is Andres' 10th first place finish out of 12 competitions. At the event, Andres totaled 597.5 kilograms or 1,317 pounds. To put that in perspective, second place winner Sujan Jill totaled only 387.5 kilograms or 854 pounds, so Andres outlifted the strongest female competitor by a whopping 463 pounds. But remember, apparently there is no advantage. Also, we're told anyway by liberals, they always say, no, there is no advantage, you're all just mean, hateful, you're all bigots. Yeah, still at this point, I don't think we really understand how they operate in that frame of mind, but here we are today, right? Now, this gained so much social media backlash. We had people like Martina Navratilova come out and call this out, and also Riley Gaines, who posted a video in response to this and also responded to the trans powerlifter who, in a video, mocked female competitors. You know, still even at this point, this just blows my mind how somebody can be so arrogant. A male who's competing against other women who shouldn't be there in the very first place, right, proceeds to mock other female powerlifters, other female competition. Just something not quite right there. It's all very bizarre. Now, April Hutchinson, a female powerlifter, came out in a Talk TV interview and spoke out against all of this, and she made her feelings clear on the matter, but also revealed that apparently other female powerlifters who were supposed to compete at this event dropped out when they heard Anne Andres was also competing, which I think we can all agree is a great move. It's a massive statement, and I think more and more female athletes should do the same when put in a similar scenario. And I know some people may say, well, what about the consequences they can face? But I think at this point, you know, when you look at it and you look in the long term, the grand scheme of things, the consequences somebody may face are really insignificant when you compare it to the changes they can make for women's sport in the future. You know, if you make such a statement, you can force the sporting organization's hand, which, you know, you shouldn't be doing in the very first place. Nobody should be having to drop out of events to make their feelings known. But again, here we are. But you can force their hand to make women's sport fair again and based in reality, not delusion. But that's just me. But April Hutchinson was interviewed once again by Fox News. I think it's a great interview as she comes out and says things like, it's a slap in the face. Honestly, it's just great to see more and more people taking a stand against this issue. A competitive female powerlifter is outraged after a transgender athlete set a new record in the women's division. I keep using the word disheartening over and over again, powerlifter April Hutchinson said. It's outrageous. It's a big slap in the face to women that the Federation, after all this time and all those letters, even legal letters, have not stepped up and protected women in sports. Hutchinson detailed the event where 40-year-old biological male Anne Andres toppled the competition on Fox and Friends on Friday. Those records will never ever be broken by a biological female, Hutchinson argued. That deadlift, for example, that is something that top athletes who have been training for 10 years and more have not yet achieved. They've been busting their butt off trying to get there, and he literally just strolled in and did it, no problem. And that statement in itself just shows how crazy things have gotten, you know, and we've mentioned this many times in videos, and if I can think it and say it, then I'm sure many others are also seeing it. Right, these women are training every single day, and it doesn't matter what sport it is. You know, you dedicate your life to a sport, you sacrifice so much. I don't think people realize how much you have to sacrifice to be at a top level in any sport. And now in some cases, more and more cases, men are just coming in and destroying the competition. That is, as April Hutchinson says, a massive slap in the face to all female competitors. And, you know, she mentions the Federation, as we also did in the previous video. Women have written to these people legal letters, and yet still nothing is done. They're just ignoring them. What kind of message is that sending, you know? And how can you be remotely respectable when you're ignoring these women's concerns and allowing men to compete against women, winning championships, setting records? Clearly they know something that we don't, right? But here is a clip of April Hutchinson in said interview where she talks about this whole scenario, reiterates the points that we mentioned from the article, and says a lot more that I think many people will just obviously agree with. Take a listen.
April Hutchinson joins us now. April, I watched what you posted on Instagram. I know you're a powerlifter. How do you feel about all of this?
Well, I mean, I think I keep using the word disheartening over and over again. It's outrageous, you know. It's a big slap in the face to women that the Federation, after all of this time and all these letters, even legal letters, have not stepped up and protected women in sports.
You know, April, you say in your Instagram post, bodies play sports, not identities. You said they're erasing women's voices, and we are the majority, not the minority. And you give an example, you gave one to our producers about your boyfriend. Tell us about that. You said your boyfriend can just walk in and say he's a woman and compete.
Yeah, as simple as that. So the Canadian Powerlifting Union, it's the only powerlifting federation that has a trans inclusion policy. So there's no policy at all to protect women. Basically, like I said before, my boyfriend, who's a big 6'4" firefighter, could walk into a competition tomorrow, say he feels like a woman that day, go compete, crush records, and the next day go back to being a man. We saw this happen with Avi Silverberg a couple months ago. He went in, identified as a woman, and he took like records for bench records for in February. So, I mean, it's been done, and men are going to keep doing it to make a mockery of the federation.
You know, and this is an unofficial world record. That score, 1,317 for squats, benches, and deadlifts, never been done before by a biological woman. So these biological men that are competing in women's sports are crushing women's records.
Yeah, and those records will never, ever be broken by a biological female. Like that deadlift, for example, the 573 deadlift, that is something that top athletes who have been training for 10 years and more have not yet achieved. They've been busting their butt off trying to get that, and he literally just strolled in and did it, no problem.
How is Ann Andres being treated when y'all are at competitions? What happens?
Well, I mean, I guess where he lives in Manitoba or BC area, the western area, there are some supporters, but at the same time, a lot of people, for example, at the competition on Sunday, had no idea Ann was a man. The one woman on the side of the podium on Sunday had no idea that Ann was a man. Some people just kind of clap along. They don't know what's going on. Right. Some people don't even know what the word transgender means. Right. Like, it's a very, you know, unless you say, that's why I call them a man, because if you start throwing around words, people get confused. So you kind of have to call a spade a spade.
Yeah, so a lot to take in there, right? It's a great interview, and one of the main parts that stood out to me is the fact that apparently the Federation didn't even let everybody know in attendance this would be a male competing against women. They didn't say, hey, look, guys, here we have a male that will be lifting against women. I hope you're all okay with it. No, they just decided to ignore it, pretend it wasn't a fact, and deceive people in the process. Maybe they knew potentially people wouldn't be too happy with it. You know, I wonder how many people would clap that were in attendance. As you saw in the viral clip, there were people in the background cheering whilst they were lifting. Would they have still clapped and cheered? Who knows? I mean, it is Canada, so I wouldn't put my bets on it, but it would have been interesting to see. But nonetheless, the more and more people who speak out against this issue is just a great thing, right? Especially when it's people with huge platforms, huge reach, because they're going to have so many fans that may not know about this issue. Okay, when you have people like Martina Navratilova speaking out, April Hutchinson, and even people like Sharon Davis, some of their fans who may not know about this issue, it opens their eyes to it, and they'll sit there and think, wait, hold on, yeah, you know what? Men competing against other women is obviously unfair. How has this been allowed to go on? There should be rules in place to protect women and the integrity of the sport going forward. Again, it's just absolutely insane. We've reached this point where we have to put rules in place. So it will be interesting to see how this federation in Canada goes forward regarding future events. Will they make any changes to their rules? Who knows? I hope they learn from this event, and I hope they learn that there are women within their sporting world who aren't happy and will drop out of future events if this continues to happen, it would be great to see them make a load of changes because it just deserves to happen. But what are your thoughts on this, ladies and gentlemen? Leave them down below. If you have enjoyed today's video, then please, for me, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Share this video, but until tomorrow, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.